Hello, my name is Maxine Ward and I'm a trainer at the International College of Professional Celebrants and a practicing civil celebrant. And I'm here today to talk about the legalities of celebrant ceremonies with...
Stuart Morris, and I'm founder of International College of Professional Celebrants.
So Stuart, at the moment, what is the current situation on celebrants in the UK performing legal marriage ceremonies?
So we're recording this at in November of 2022, and where we are at the moment is that celebrants in the United Kingdom can't take a legal marriage. There are exceptions in
Are there?
Scotland.
Okay.
Yeah,
Scott.
in Scotland, for example, some groups, for example, the members of the Humanists Society, known as Humanists UK, who are trained celebrants and accredited by HUK, can. But in England and Wales, you cannot do a legal marriage as an independent or professional celebrant at the moment.
So that sounds a bit constraining, really, when it comes to the choice of couples. How is that so? What does that mean for them and their choices?
It does mean that if you want to have a celebrant-led marriage, celebrant-led wedding, I need to be very careful. We distinguish marriage as the legal
We
thing,
do.
and a wedding celebration or wedding ceremony as the the ceremony and the party. So for a couple wanting to have a celebrant-led ceremony, then they need to do the legal marriage bit
Mhm.
separately. And the easiest way of doing that is what we call the 2+2. It's the simplest ceremony at your local register office. Usually costs about £50 plus the £35 each registration fee. Now, the problem is that a lot of registration offices have cottoned on to the idea that having bigger ceremonies is a money making scheme for them. So they can actually make it quite difficult for couples to access the 2+2. And in fact, when my wife and I got married in 2018, this was exactly the problem we had is Hampshire County Council kept telling us, no, you can't do that. And I had to
Hey,
get quite strict and say, legally, you can't not give me it. No, we have no slots in the diary for it. Okay, which bit of legally I'm entitled to this and you have to offer me it are you
mm,
not getting? But we want to upsell you to this £285 package. Which bit of I'm paying you 50 quid are you not getting? Anyway, so I digress. But it's perfectly possible to have a simple 20-minute legal marriage ceremony at your local register office. And then you can have the party. It could be on the same day, it could be on another day. Uh, the ceremony that you want with your friends and family at whatever location you want. So, for example, Jane and I, we had our wedding ceremony with our friends and family in our back garden, just out through these
mm.
doors here, um, which was a far cheaper than having to have it at a hotel
Yeah.
with a marriage license, and much more fun and much more intimate and much more us. It also
Okay.
means, yeah, so if you separate the two in your mind, it could be on the same day.
Mhm.
Then a couple can have much more choice about the way they do it.
So
And
just
and
clear
sorry, go on.
legally, where can you get legally married and by whom at the moment?
So Church of England churches, and some Baptist churches and some Methodist churches. Churches will know whether they can do it legally or
Mhm.
not. Synagogues and other places of worship
Okay.
like that.
Hmm, hmm.
So mosques, potentially. Again, mosques and synagogues are like the non-conformist churches, non-Church of England churches.
Okay.
Catholic Church can do it as well under certain circumstances. And again, if you're having a religious ceremony, then your church will know how they need, or your church or your synagogue or your mosque or whatever temple will know how to do it there. And many have their own registrars, so the minister may take the ceremony, but then the registrar to one side will do
Okay,
the legal paperwork bit.
I
So
see.
that's for people who have strong religious faith.
Hmm.
For people who want something that's not religious or not strongly identified with a particular mainstream faith, so they might be pagan, or they might just want to include a bit of pagan or a bit of Buddhist or a bit of Christian. So one I took, probably my favourite wedding ever, had a Buddhist element, had a Christian element, had pagan elements, because that was what the couple wanted.
Hmm.
It couldn't be fitted into a standard religious ceremony. So if you want that kind of thing, then you have to go with an independent celebrant in the UK
Hmm.
and separate the
Yeah,
legal marriage bit. Otherwise, you can have a registrar-led ceremony which cannot include any any religious content, and that can be at your local registration office, or it can be at a hotel or other venue
but they have
with
to
a
be
license.
licensed. Yeah, yeah,
They have
yeah.
to have, and
So I
so
guess, go on.
go on.
I guess then the
I can,
trouble for a couple is that at the moment they can't be legally married in their back garden, for example. So at the moment, the Law Commission, haven't they, made a proposal
yeah,
to actually license the officiant, the person, rather than the premise.
rather than the place.
What does that mean for people who are currently celebrants or are thinking of training to be celebrants? What are the possibilities?
It means that at some point in the not too distant future, a year, 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. I'm hopeful it might be in the next couple of years, but
Me too.
yeah, given the state of UK politics at the moment, um, I think what we're seeing at the moment is the Law Commission proposed a really sensible set of proposals, and we've got a video where I go into some depth on for the 400 and something page document, which is sitting just here, and I'm so proud of
It's a
having
big
read it.
read, wasn't it? A big
It's a
read.
big read, yeah, and most of it's not relevant to us, but I think for people who are thinking about training, at some point in the future, celebrants will be able to do legal marriage. I'm
Mm.
fairly sure of that. And at that point, the registration service will need a way of working out who should be able to take weddings, marriages, and who shouldn't. And so people with qualifications are going to be higher up that list. There will definitely be some additional qualification that needs doing, because we'll need to know how to fill the paperwork in.
Yes.
It's a non-trivial task. Um, but I think having something like the NOCN uh, National Open Colleges Network level 3 qualification, there are a couple of different ones. Um, I think having that is definitely going to be a step up. If you've got nothing, it's going to take you more time to become qualified to take legal marriages. If you've got that qualification, then I think that's going to enable you to get to the required standard much more quickly.
And
And I
that's
know
interesting, isn't it? Yeah,
we're
because
working on it. Yeah, go on.
yeah, on our course, as part of the course, you'll come and train with us for a week up in the glorious, glorious Yorkshire countryside, and then you're given a year's support, aren't you? That studying and the support for the NOCN examination is all included. So that's a real plus, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that we've always seen it as the the NOCN qualification teaches you about the history of celebrancy and the position of celebrancy in the community and in the way human beings are. The in-person course teaches you how to be a celebrant, how to
Mm.
do the ceremonies, how to build your business, and those kinds of things. And so there is definitely a distinction between the practice, the daily doing of being a celebrant, which is in the in-person course, and the theory, the history,
Yeah.
the standing of it, which is in the level 3 qualification.
So, thinking about the practical steps that you've got to take to make sure you're not confusing couples or you're on the right side of the law, what
Of the
is it that
law, yeah.
celebrants have to do as good practice to make sure that we're clear with our couples what we can and can't do, and to make our ceremonies run as smooth as possible without any
So that
misunderstanding? What advice, or what kinds of things do we check?
at the moment, it is a criminal offence for somebody who is not qualified to perform a legal marriage to purport, is the word in the
Is
act,
it not used
to
very
uh,
often nowadays?
not very used that very often, no, to pretend to conduct a legal marriage, and this is to protect brides being essentially trafficked in from other countries.
Mm.
So we need to be very, very clear as independent celebrants that we cannot at the moment do the legal part of the marriage. And so certainly in any paperwork that we send across to a couple, we need to say, we're not performing the legal bit of the marriage. You need to get your local registration office and go and do that.
Yeah.
It's not a legal requirement, but good practice is to make sure that you see some paperwork to show that they are doing that.
Mm.
Having said that, because it protects yourself, having said that, there are cases where a couple may not be free to marry. For example, um, they may both be going through divorces at the moment, or they may not have completed a divorce yet. And the couple want some kind of commitment ceremony that
Mm.
looks like a wedding to, so their new friends and family, they want some kind of commitment ceremony before they are able to legally marry. As a celebrant, you may or may not feel able to do that, and we will back you up whichever decision you make. You have to be able to look yourself in the mirror in the morning and say, I'm happy with the decision I've made to either support this couple with this ceremony, or actually, I don't feel comfortable until their legal divorces are through. Um, but there are maybe cases where you want to enable them to have a ceremony, and you can be part of that. So there is always a difference between the absolute best practice.
Yeah.
Make sure you've seen the marriage certificate before you kick off, because then there's no question nobody can accuse you of breaking the law because they are already legally married.
Mm.
But equally, if you are clear in all of your paperwork with the couple that you're not taking a legal marriage, then that's fine. Equally, on the day in the ceremony, there's nothing requiring you to um, to stand up in front of everybody and say, this isn't their legal marriage, this is just a ceremony. You don't have to do that, but you must be careful not to use any language from the legal marriage ceremony so that anybody who's sitting there isn't confused. So
Mm.
if you don't use the formal words, the contracting words of the legal marriage service or ceremony, then and you don't call it a marriage ceremony, you call it a wedding celebration, then again you're not purporting to be taking a legal marriage. So it's about protecting you, the celebrant, is just the language that you use and having a paper trail that shows clearly what you're agreeing to deliver and what the couple are expecting.
Absolutely. And sometimes people don't really know the difference between a registrar and a celebrant. So one of the first questions I say is, congratulations, when are you doing your legal paperwork? So that's what they do in
Yes,
lots of other countries, don't they? They'll go to the Marie or whoever and have the legal.
absolutely. Most of Europe,
Absolutely.
even the religious ceremony in any church or any religious environment is separate from the state. And
Yeah.
so most couples in France, for example, you go to the town hall, do the legal paperwork bit with very little pomp and ceremony, just signing the paperwork, and then you have the celebration wherever you want it, whenever you want it. And I'm so looking forward to the day that that's possible here in the UK, in England and Wales especially.
And that's a really nice way to end, actually, Stuart, because so am I. It will be brilliant for couples to be able to have the legalities plus not having the restrictions that you have to have with a registrar, and being able to really have the ceremony of their dreams. And I'm sure we'll all be celebrating when that day comes.
We will.